How often do you guys play in a tournament? You get one tournament a week? About one time. You guys ever feel tired on the course?
Yeah. Halfway through on like 10.
Halfway through on time? So when was the last time you played in a tournament that you felt halfway bad through time? Yesterday?
A couple of days.
What time was your tea time?
What was the tea time at Metro Yellow?
Early, late?
About noon.
Noon, perfect. So your tea time's at noon. So what time did you wake up roughly? 8, 7, 10, 11?
Yeah, like about 10.
10 o'clock? Okay. What did you eat when you woke up?
Did I eat?
Probably egg, bread.
Egg, bread, what else?
Milk.
Milk. So we know from before we have a protein, we have a carb, and we have a fat. Relatively balanced. So you teed off at noon, you warmed up at 11 maybe, teed off at 12, you hit the back nine at 2, 2:30, right?
Rounds were
3. Back page. Gotcha. 3 o'clock you made the turn, 10th hole. Finished the round at 6. Ouch. 6 p.m. When was your next meal after 6?
No, actually he had earlier than 10.
Okay.
And he ate before the tournament.
I did?
Yeah, Daddy took his.
Oh yeah, I think.
Okay.
Probably had breakfast around 9 maybe.
Okay. That's fine. I can change it. So 9 a.m. had this, and then at 11 you had something?
He ate something.
What did you have at 11?
Probably like a hamburger.
Hamburger. Excellent.
Yeah.
Okay, so you had more proteins, more fats, and you ate the bread, more carbs. Okay, great. So you doubled it. Fantastic. 3 hours in the heat. Playing slow golf, up and down hills.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you eat anything between here and here? Okay. Granola bar. Where? Roughly. Front side, back side.
Probably like 10.
10. Granola bar. What's a granola bar in our categories?
Like, yeah. Nature Valley, the
Is it a protein, a carb, or a fat?
Oh.
Or a vegetable? It's not a vegetable, right?
No.
What is it?
Right?
Carbohydrate, exactly. When did you eat after? I'm not picking on it, I'm just trying to get some data.
When did I eat it?
So you picked them up after the round, took them to a restaurant, got them some food, or took them home?
And he ate around 7.
Around 7. Okay. So what was dinner? Can't remember. It had a protein in it though?
Probably.
Had a carbohydrate, had some vegetables maybe? So it was balanced. It had a little bit of everything, right? Protein, carb, fat, and some vegetables. Great. What's that? Balanced meal there. Good. So we had 1 balanced meal, 2 balanced meals, 3 balanced meals, but between 12 and 6 you ate a granola bar. So is that enough food for you? Probably not. Now the biggest difference between carbohydrates and fats are the amount of energy they store. Carbohydrates have 4 molecules, fats have 9. So this will dispense slower, longer. This will go faster, shorter. So if you eat a granola bar, you're probably going to spike and crash. Plus, what is a granola bar? They're oats that have been toasted and burnt and covered with sugar. So if you put bread in water, you're getting this. If you put bread in water, what happens to the water? It absorbs it, right? Now if you toasted the bread, dried out all the moisture out of it, like you're doing in a granola, and put water in it, it's going to suck it up even more, right? So not only did you eating the granola bar, which they say is good for you, which you see on the golf course all the time, you are dehydrating yourself on the golf course. Is that any good? Okay. What's a good snack? Ever remember? Anybody remember? Trailmix are great.
Kind bars.
They're very nice, as well as kind, but this is a lot easier. Just put this in a Ziploc bag and give it to your kids. Because this has fuel, this has energy, slow dispensing energy, long-term energy, brain food they call it, right? Plus, what happens with fat and water? Do they mix? Oil and water don't mix, right? So can you dehydrate yourself by eating nuts? You can dehydrate yourself eating carbohydrates.
If
Yes.
you're allergic to nuts, is there an alternative?
Yeah, that would be a dilemma. I wouldn't recommend nuts if you're allergic to them, obviously. Yeah.
No, I'm just saying.
What would I substitute in? You got me. Let me
Hey, Rob,
give me a second. Great question, actually. I never think of it. I don't have kids, so I don't think about that.
I'm saying in terms of a snack,
Yes.
when you're outside,
Yes.
in a pinch,
Yes.
the ratio should be higher in fat, lower in carb.
It
Just like the
should.
granola bar is the reverse, no?
Correct. The
It's
gr-
higher carb, less, I missed the whole.
Sure. The granola bars are high in carbohydrates.
Okay,
They're toasted oats that have been burnt and sugar added on top.
okay.
That's really what they are. Nuts are just fat. Sorry, these are just fats. There's no carbohydrates in here, relatively speaking, nothing processed. Carbohydrates require water to get processed, so that pulls away out of your system, especially on a hot day.
In terms of what's gonna give you the quickest release of,
Energy.
yeah,
Uh,
isn't it carb?
This would be the fastest energy you would need. Too fast. So you want something slower, something like this. But the idea is you can't catch up. It's not like you can't cram for the test. You have to eat every day consistently in order to get benefits long term. So if you're in a pinch, you overdid your exercise, it's a super hot day, make sure you have to plan for the next day. You have enough food in your system, you have enough food in your golf bag to eat and get ready. So, the liver stores all the energy the day before and dispenses it. So you never should really show up to the golf course unenergized.
What about something like a banana when you're out?
Sure, it'll be fine. It's sugar. It's plain sugar. It's fast sugar. It'll recover fast. I mean, it's sucrose at the end of the day. It's no different than table. That's why I made the list of all the carbohydrates during the day. Things that. Let me put things off the board. We're talking about carbohydrates here and things that are good in a pinch. What's the size of a sugar molecule? Teeny tiny. A grain of sugar. Tiny, right? You can go right in the cell, pull right out. You spike, you crash. Tiny. No resistance. It'll go right in the bloodstream. Put sugar under your tongue, it's going to get in now, right? How big is the size of an oatmeal flake relative to that sugar? Right? So this is going to take time to break down into its components. The body has to do this to it. This is going to give you longer duration energy than that. This is here now. Yeah, diabetic, passing out, coma. Yeah, give them sugar. Give them orange juice, right? Your kids are not diabetics, hopefully. You don't want to turn them into one because you keep adding sugar very fast, very quickly into their system. I'm actually talking to parents now, I'm sorry guys. They're going to become diabetics and then the pancreas can't keep up. Now you got to put insulin in separately. Every time you have a carbohydrate in the system, insulin is required to pull it out, put it into the blood, take it out of the bloodstream. So you want to give your kids slow digesting, big flakes, rice, grains. The whole grain concept is correct, except you need protein first. Protein is the scene of future data. Good question. I'm trying to think of more
what
things.
about the Rice Krispie treat? I mean, I know it has sugar on top of it, but.
Rice Krispies are fine. Actually, it's just rice that's been puffed. It's actually a great breakfast cereal, as long as you're giving them eggs too. Again, it's a carb. It has its place. It's a tool. It has its place. The problem with that is when you start adding the marshmallow mix to it and kind of gets really syrupy and good and juicy. Yeah.
Rice Krispies and bananas.
Yes.
That is.
Carb on top of carb
Yeah.
with no protein.
Oh, with milk and then egg.
With milk. Milk's a good point. I recommend the high-fat milk, the red milk.
High,
Yeah.
like whole milk.
Whole milk.
Oh, yeah?
Huge fan of whole milk.
Turn around.
Because you're getting the closest thing to what it was. When you eat skim milk or 0% milk, it's just water that's flavored, and they use sugar in it to make it taste good. It's decent. We grew up on whole milk. I mean, the ratio of heart disease, clogged arteries, all the ailments that we deal with in the 80s, 90s, 2000s now, 2010s as well. Our grandparents didn't have them in the 30s, 40s, and 50s when they were eating eggs, bacon, and goat milk or pure milk that wasn't processed.
How about lactate milk? Is it the same thing as?
Lactate. If you have lactose intolerance, which most people do naturally, babies and infants are really the only ones who should be drinking most milk, and then lactate is very good for older adults to kind of lose that enzyme to process. It's very individual. If you can handle milk, I suggest whole milk. If you can't handle milk, lactate is good. Almond milk is great. Again, you're looking at what is the purpose for milk. It's a fat. It's not a protein. It has some protein, but it's really dependent on fat. So if you take the fat out, what are you having? You're having water with some sugar. I'm sorry, I'm talking about parents now. Do the parents have any other questions? Yes.
How much eggs can you, I watch on TV and this doctor said, oh, you can eat as much eggs as you want. It's
Yeah.
not really, is it bad that?
It depends on the type of egg. The omega-3 eggs are fantastic. Omega-3, I highly recommend that you eat the yolk. If it's not omega-3, you can still eat the yolk. But that's going to be heart healthier to start with. Egg whites are great. They're just pure protein. It's chicken fetuses is what you're eating. It was about to be a chicken. So it's all proteins, protoplasma. It's just great stuff for you. The quantity of eggs, again, is dependent on the grams of protein the person needs. So for a 120-pound person, you're eating 4 meals a day, 30 grams per meal, times 4 meals. 30 grams of protein is what you're looking for the first meal. If you had 3 eggs, that's 27 grams of protein. You don't have to have exactly 30. You know, next meal you can have 33 and kind of balance it off. As long as you're ballpark 10 grams either way, you're okay.
What about protein in the form of like cold cuts? Which these kids seem to
Easy,
like.
quick, understandable.
A process.
A process. Now what does a process mean? Starchers, fillers, salts, sodium through the roof. There have been studies that just came out recently validating that low sodium diets are not good for you. And they're absolutely right. I totally agree with it. I've never been James knows about this, I've never been a fan of low sodium diets. A hot day like today, not today, last 2 weeks ago we had that 90. You couldn't pump enough sodium into your kids because they're sweating it all out. If you don't give sodium, the beauty about the body is if you don't give it, it doesn't care. It's going to figure something out. So you just depleted your system of sodium by playing golf on a hot, hot day. You didn't replenish, your body's going to say, great, I don't have to work my kidneys to flush sodium out of the system. It's not a good problem, it's a problem. So if you give the body sodium, ample enough sodium, and again, there's a guideline. I'm not saying take 10,000 milligrams of sodium, but the guideline is 2,500, and people really don't get that much at least. Give the body enough sodium to give a purpose to the kidneys. The purpose of the kidneys is to flush out the toxins, flush out the sodium. If you don't give them something to flush out, it's just going to sit there and rot. Use it or lose it. We've all heard that statement. That could not be more true than that. So getting back to the processed foods. If you're giving your kid bologna, or what do you normally give your child?
Those Applegate Farms, nitrate-free,
Sure.
whatever.
Even better.
Bologna
What
or turkey or
Turkey.
ham.
Turkey's fantastic. Turkey is probably the one that you can comfortably say there's the least amount of stuff put into it. Even better, roast your own turkey and carve it and give it to your kids during the week, and now you know what's in it. But again, I understand the convenience factor is key. I would be totally okay with turkey as a protein source. A couple of slices of that, absolutely great. Not a problem, as long as they eat it. I don't care if they put mustard on it, add sodium to it, just make it taste good. Doesn't matter at this stage. Give them the protein. I'd rather them have protein than not have protein. If there's one take-home message here, is Americans in today's society do not eat nearly enough protein. Not even close. So how are you going to repair? You can't. So your muscle mass goes down, your metabolism goes down because your muscle mass is dependent on your metabolism is dependent on your muscle mass. The bigger the muscles, the bigger the fire. The bigger the muscles, the more metabolism you have to process food. Well, if you don't give it protein, your muscle mass shrinks, which lowers your metabolism and gets you fatter. You may weigh the same, but your percentages change. That makes sense back there? So I have done diets for clients where I did nothing with their daily intake except change the ratios. So just going on that a little bit. If I had a person eating proteins, carbs, and fats, we'll just stick to these three. They were eating, just for a round number, 500 grams of protein a day, 1,000 grams of carbs a day, and 1,000 grams of fats a day to get to your 2,500 calorie diet that the RDA says is ideal. I could eat 2,500 calories of Twinkies every day. If I ate 2,500 calories of protein a day, I think I would look a little different. Right? Okay. So I did nothing here on their total calorie. What I did was I removed those two, dropped them by half, and added 1,000 there. Still got my 2,500. And I just completely recompositioned their body without exercise, without training, without drugs, without supplements, without fat burners, without anything, just food. This is what I do. If there's anything I do other than play golf, it is this. People come to me with, I'm overweight, I'm out of shape, how do I fix it? First thing we do is we get your intestinal tract more responsive, more fiber in your diet. Metamucil is great. These kids don't need it, they don't have any colon issues. They're not old enough. They haven't eaten enough food for enough years. Second thing we do is make sure that they get enough protein. And third thing is that their energy sources, carbs and fats, comes from bigger leaves, bigger items that have to be broken down. That break down burns body fat, needs a fuel source to break down, needs energy. And that's how you lose weight. You lose body fat, rather.
Concerned about trying to get more vegetables?
Yes, yes. How many vegetables a day is a good question. Minimum one vegetable a day. One green leafy vegetable. You can have it at night. Fill you up. 500 calories of vegetables wouldn't fit in my golf bag. They're they're so light and fluffy, and they can fill you up without actually having any, there's no density to the calorie. I mean, a bag of lettuce, a pound bag of lettuce, I think is 5 calories. The entire bag. So what's that going to do to you? Roughage, colon health, intestinal health, clean you out. It's going to fill you up too. You can't eat enough vegetables. I'm not saying you have to, but for these kids, one vegetable a day. For adults, have 2.
I sleep in the Beneful, I don't know if that's good.
Beneful.
You know, the fiber thing?
Very good. I prefer psyllium husk, which, no, psyllium husk is the ingredient in Metamucil. Citrusel and Beneful have cellulose. It's a different fiber. It's a different fiber. It's not good or bad. I use psyllium husk, and I've used it forever, and I know what it does. I haven't had enough experience with cellulose, but use it. I mean, if it's coming out firmer, cleaner, easier, it's doing its job. That's the whole purpose of fiber. Give your body use.
Peanut butter?
Peanut butter. Great.
As a source of protein or
No. Horrible source of protein. It's never had parents, never had eyes. It's a nut protein.
How is that sold?
Of course it's household. But the high protein peanut butters have flaxseed added to it, have protein powder added to it.
That's why it's high.
That's how they're selling, yeah, the powerful peanut butter, they call it, I think. And they've actually added whey protein, which is milk, making cheese, take the whey and curd off of it, dry it out, and you have protein. And then add it to peanut butter, so one thing. Beans. Excellent question. Beans are a class B protein. You may have heard of that. You need to add an A protein to a B protein in order to make it a complete protein. It's a great source as long as you throw in a piece of chicken with it, a piece of steak with it, a piece of something. Fine. It's not a staple of my diets, but if people like beans, hey, I have no issues with beans other than it's not a complete protein, it just needs to be added. Nobody asked about water. Water. Who likes Gatorade? What do you normally drink when you go home? You're tired, you're thirsty, you open the fridge, what do you drink? Water. You go to the tap, you don't go to the fridge. Okay. What do you drink? Vitamin water. What do you drink? Cold water. You were right, James. You drink water.
Water or Gatorade?
Gatorade? Okay. What do you drink?
No.
What do you drink?
Gatorade.
Coffee. Okay. Which is water. 99.9% water is what coffee is. It's flavored water. There are a lot of sweeteners out there, and there's a lot of debate whether natural sweeteners like agave or sugar or sucrose, what's good, what's bad. All the body knows it needs water. It needs to be hydrated. It needs water out of cells. If you're drinking coffee, you're getting water. If you're drinking soda, you're getting water. If you're drinking soda, we don't want to make sure that you're drinking sugar in the water. So it's a useless calorie. to give kids soda. People think, hey, let's get all the soda machines out of schools and add fruit juice. You're just getting sugar with water. It's not helping the situation. Water's great. They got these little water enhancers where you can, the Mio things where you can make them flavorful or whatever. That's fine. Basically, you just got to make sure if you're thirsty. If you're thirsty, you're already at the point of dehydration. You have to eat, drink before. So make sure that in between meals you always have water with you. Make sure you always have water with you.
What about Gatorade?
Gatorade's great. It has a purpose. It's to provide, when you break down your muscle mass and your exercise, you've broken down your body, you've broken down your tissues, first thing you need to do is replenish glycogen. Glycogen is where the energy source is in the muscle tissue. If I work out my bicep and I do enough reps with the weight on the back of it, this is going to fatigue. Well, as I said, there are three, the hierarchy of energy storage. The last place is the liver, the second place is the muscle tissue, third place is the brain. So you deplete the liver, you deplete the muscle first. Reinforcements come in from the liver. If you deplete both of those, you're going to start depleting the brain. Your body will shut you down and you will pass out, so not to create more damage. Okay? So, going back to the speed of our sugars. You just worked out, you're exhausted, you're depleting, you're feeling a little woozy. Gatorade's perfect.
Coconut water?
Coconut water's fine. It has minerals in it. Has a little bit of sugar. It's fine. Not a huge must-have fan, but yeah, it'll do the job. Again, sugar, fast sugar has a tool. It's for that guy who's about to pass out because the brain's saying, I need some energy right now, or I can't keep me awake and do the functions I need at the same time. So you gotta feed me some sugar real fast or I'm gonna pass out. It's not a fun experience. I've had it a few times. You train so hard, you just move away, you get up. I don't think anybody will get that in golf, but I have seen kids pass out in camps because they haven't been fed. The parent didn't feed them, they exercise, they're depleted, they're watering. Lois, help! I can't swim. Can you carry me? Why don't we get you some Gatorade? That would be a good place for it. So again, it's a tool. And you have to know as a parent when to give the child what the child needs.
People work with kids that don't have a big appetite.
I never ate food in my life. And I became a bodybuilder. I was the kid who would open the door, stare at the fridge, close the door, and never ate. I'm not joking. I would do that 5-6 times a day and be satiated and be done. My mother would go crazy. How are you doing this? I'm not hungry. They'd make great meals and I never ate. I would eat a Leonard's bagel in the morning and then I'd have ice cream at night. That was my diet from age 12 to 17. Went to college. It really didn't change because I had to cook for myself. It didn't really change. I maybe eat the lunch meal once a day. Graduated college, started working, teaching as much as James does, 10 hours a day, solid, nonstop. I'd have lunch at the club. I'd go out, have dinner, hamburger, fries, dinner at a diner or something, call it a day. Started bodybuilding, started weight training. You need to get stronger for golf. I was 128 pounds when I graduated college. Age 22 years old, 128 pounds. Lowest weight. You weigh about that, right? No, less, about 10 pounds. Well, that kid weighed about how much I weighed when I was graduating. I still haven't grown. And I was told I wanted to be a bodybuilder. Well, now I had to change my diet. Just so you know what it took. So for the people who say, I don't want to turn to a bodybuilder, I don't want to eat too much food, I don't want to get too muscular. Normal people eat 1 gram per pound of body weight, we say. Athletes, 1.5 grams. Michael Phelps, or any Olympic athlete, any baseball player, any football player, they're eating 1.5 grams of protein per day. So you got a 250-pound lineman, sorry, a 200-pound lineman, 200-pound wide receiver. They're getting bigger nowadays. Eats 300 grams of protein a day is what they need to do to maintain what they're doing. As a bodybuilder, I had to eat 2 times plus what I ate. So when I competed 175 pounds, I was eating 500 grams of protein a day. To give you an idea what that is 12 ounces of chicken, beef, and fish 6 times a day, along with 2 cups of rice with 3 of those meals, and 2 cups of vegetables with the last 3 meals. Every single day, my food bill was about $120 a day. And I cooked it all myself. It was insane. But it worked. So knowing that, I'm not going to turn you kids into monsters, don't worry. Knowing that, how do you make food useful for golfers? That's all I want to do, is be better at golf. Make sure they're fed. Make sure they know what to eat, when to eat. And then make sure they're having fun. Food's a tool. It's not a chore. It's not a punishment. It's not a treat either. It's just a tool when you get to the professional level or the athletic endeavors. Make sure they're fed so they can perform to the best of their abilities. That's really all we're trying to do.
So skipping is not a good idea.
Skipping a meal is horrible.
My son's not hungry, you know, for lunch and
Yep.
he's just gonna eat, so.
I was there. How do you help that? I mean, that's hard. Just keep putting the protein in front of them, and hopefully you'll eat it. I mean, I had to force feed food when I was competing. Again, I go back to my parents and I say, why didn't you tell me this stuff that I need to eat? Like, you didn't eat. So I don't have an answer for that. That's qualifiable. But when he gets the idea that he needs to eat, he'll eat. And you have to, give him the purpose. So if you want to play better golf, okay, here's what happened. The realization I had was in the year 2000, I played 48 mini tour events, playing golf professionally at 128 pounds. I was hitting driver 4 wood in all the par 4s. Three par 4s around, I was hitting 2 woods into the green. Okay, the guys I was playing with were hitting driver wedge. Was I at the advantage, or did they have the advantage? They had the advantage. So I needed to put an end to that. I wanted to use my wedges. I wanted to get my woods, get my hybrids, and get them out of the bag so I could hit driver wedge all day long. That was my goal. I realized I needed to get bigger, faster, stronger, and it started with food. If I fed myself, I would grow. If I didn't feed myself, I would shrink.
Just so you guys know, you see how big Mike is, right? In comparison to me?
Don't we come side by side?
Yeah.
Now, how much do you weigh?
170.
170. I weigh 173. Okay? We're slightly different. Right? Turn around, just back to back. I'm a little wider than him in the shoulders, aren't I? I'm a little smaller in the waist. He's a little more here. Same weight, 3 pounds. Take my shoes off, we're the same. Relatively the same height, he's a little taller than me. I'm a little shorter, a little wider. So there's a little more muscle mass on this side. I need more food than he does. The RDA will say all of us, including the ladies back there, and every other adult, until we're 90 years old, have to eat the same amount of food. 2,500 calories. Can you see the insanity in that? I eat 6 times a day, like clockwork. He eats less.
Just, you see, we just talked about size, right? His hybrid, all right? What do you have, 19? 20?
Yeah, thank you.
His hybrid carries further than my driver.
Just so you know my distances before,
Yeah. I just
probably
letting you know
back
that.
to golf.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or about the same as my driver and my best shots, I think.
What's your best strategy? So, let's see.
Okay. In the year 2000, I would hit my driver that would carry 235 to 245 at my best. Carry yardage. Right now, you can put me on a track band. I will hit it 295 to 315. Carry, not roll. From 150, 150 yards away, I was hitting 7-iron. From 150 yards away, I'm hitting either a pitching wedge or a 9-iron. So what does this mean for a golf course? If I have a par 4 that's 480 yards,
30.
it means that I'm hitting the driver 330. I've got 150 left. I'm hitting a driver and a pitching wedge to a par 4 that is pretty long. What's that? There's my driver wedge. Right. Before, I'd be hitting the driver, call it 250 with roll. I was having 230 left. I was hitting a 3-wood. Same guy. I put to use this thing here, sometimes. Figured out how to eat, how to grow, and how to get wider. I couldn't get taller, but I could get stronger. I could get wider. I could get faster. James, didn't I put a hole in this wall during the winter? Oh, you guys fixed it. Fixed it. I put a hole in this wall through the when you had the net set up there. So that's what I wanted to change. I've been on your machine. How far did I hit on your machine?
He hit one drive that carried 328. Carry. And carry 328 on the line. So I'm not talking about 328, 328, 328.
Okay.
328 on the line.
So if I became this strong to hit it this far. But if I was this strong, I could only hit it this far. So it takes a lot less energy to hit it farther. Yes.
Just to be clear,
Yes.
the change between 2000 and 2013
Yes.
is purely diet related, or was this also part of the whole bodybuilding thing?
Well, the bodybuilding thing was an accident. I was asked, would you like to do one show? And I became nationally ranked and won it. It was crazy. I wanted to get stronger for golf. I was 120 pounds, wanted to get stronger for golf. So in the first year and a half, my distance has changed 13%, which was pretty dramatic. On a 250-yard drive, now I'm adding 20, 30 yards basically.
So between diet and exercise combined?
Yeah. There's a triangle that stimulus is at the top, so that's weight training, provides the food, nutrition, the purpose, and the hormones are the worker bees. So if you had a building and you had to build a building, and you had all the materials in the world, but you had 0 employees, that building's not getting built. If you have 2 workers, and you have you'll still get it built. It's going to take a little slower. You have more employees, it's going to build it faster. If you have all the workers that you want, no materials, those guys will start fighting each other and destroy the place. Right? So it's the balance of these 3 things. Now, stimulus, that's weight training. Right? We can talk philosophies on weights to weight training, yoga, dumbbells, free weights, machines, Zumba, doesn't matter. It's a stimulus. Food, nutrition, that's going to repair whatever you broke down here. Okay? Now, these 2 together will change your hormones. It'll balance yourself, it'll normalize yourself, it'll provide a purpose, because this has to work with, it's a triangle. Increase any one of these areas, the other 2 have a chance. Increase 2 of them, it forces the 3rd one to expand. Increase all 3 and you're going to make some huge gains quickly. And these guys, how old are you guys?
15.
9 to 15. They're not even, they're close to getting to puberty, where this is now going to go through the roof. This goes through the roof, and you feed them, believe me, any little bit of this is going to help. So that's the triangle. You guys are lucky because you're getting this information before this. So they don't really need to eat now. When they get that growth spurt, protein. They could eat McDonald's, Burger King, hamburgers all day long and get the lowest quality protein, but because this is through the roof, they'll grow. You feed them Lender's bagels and ice cream, they're going to turn to me what I was. They're not going to change. They'll get softer, doughier, fatter. That's what it was. All I ate was dough and ice cream, soft and doughy. You are what you eat, right? So this is the big key. It's coming quickly. Too fast for most parents, usually, because your babies are getting older and they're going to go off to college. And that's why you see all these guys, wow, they can eat whatever they want and they don't put an ounce of fat on. Then they're 35 years old and they're like, what's going on in my body? They used to be fat. One of the pros here, who's the one I'm talking about? No, Callaway guy. Callaway. No? Sonny. Talking to Sonny. He's 30-something? 30. He's like, I can't put muscle mass on. I'm like, yeah, because your hormones are dropping. So these things that happens called age. Don't do it, kids. Ever. Get older, but don't never get old. Things stop working, stop functioning, start slowing down the process, which allows you to do less working out, less stimulus, and food doesn't get delivered, and you don't repair as fast. So if you just increase this stuff, that's where all the anti-aging clinics are coming into play for the older guys. They're just restoring that so the other 2 can start working better. Yes?
Excuse me, how do you increase the hormones?
That's a birds and the bees question I'm going to pass to your parents. That's a very good question. You're going to go through the thing called puberty in a few years and start maturing very quickly, getting taller, getting stronger, getting older. 16 to 20, you're going to have a growth spurt. You're going to grow. Babies have this huge growth spurt at 2. Right when they're born, actually, right? Every day they
1 and 2.
1 and 2. Go, 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 and then they stop, right? They're born, they get this growth spurt, and then they kind of plateau. And then your teenage years, you're going to go through the roof again. And then you kind of settle down where you're going to be the rest of your life, unless you do something dramatically stupid like I did. So that's kind of the process. So you got parents, this is what you're looking for, and then you're going to give them protein. At this stage, just load them up. So this young guy here, yours, don't worry
How
about,
is the problem with protein?
Okay.
He loves protein.
feed him up. But when this happens, that's when you're gonna start having this.
My son,
Yes.
Ryan, he eats a lot. I think he has a lot of protein.
Yep.
But he doesn't have energy.
Right.
Because I know that he's growing a lot. I think since like January, and he grew about maybe 3-4 inches. But
Yep.
he eats constantly. He eats about 4 or 5 meals a day, but he has no energy. Always.
That's a beautiful thing. This is a beautiful thing. Here's why. Babies grow when they sleep. We all grow when we sleep. So it sounds like he's growing faster than he can stay awake. So he needs to just repair, go to sleep, nap.
He's not
He's not sleeping. No, his body is demanding him to shut down so he can grow. It's a good problem to have.
So are you saying that he should sleep more?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. If you want him to grow more and get bigger, stronger, faster, he needs more sleep because you don't.
Wake me up in the morning. Wake me up at like 5 in the afternoon.
I'm not saying don't wake up. I'm saying nap maybe another time. Get your butt up. People don't repair when they're standing up, when they're awake, because you're actually using the body to serve a function. You're doing things. You're being productive. You're doing things. When you sleep, the body goes, okay, I don't need to take care of any function other than repair right now. That's why you get deep REM sleep. The brain sends out all the growth hormone repair, and you recover. But if you're awake, you're burning the fuel. When you're asleep, you're relaxing. So when you wake up, you're refreshed. That's the idea. So, as a parent, that doesn't help you enough. You need to get him up, you need to kick him to get a stool, whatever it takes. My mother used to pour water on me. Yeah, it wasn't good. But it worked, it got me up. So, and then if he's tired, and he's eating enough food, enough protein, enough of the right carbohydrates, enough of the right fats. Again, there's a lot of variables here. If he's eating sugar, crashing and tired because of a sugar drop, that's a different story.
I don't need candy a lot.
You don't eat candy a lot? So, yeah, he might be just growing. I would check with your pediatrician, because, and say,
that guy.
listen, he's eating this, give him a food log. Say, here's my diet for 7 days. Everything he ate, and chart it. Say, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. He ate this, and then this one he missed a meal here, ate one there, missed breakfast on this day, ate here, missed another breakfast. Well, you can kind of start seeing some patterns. And believe me, this is the last thing you want to be doing as a parent, trying to get him dressed, get him up, get him to school. I can sympathize with that. But if you start charting his meals, you might start seeing some patterns. Like, wow, he felt really bad when he played golf here because he skipped breakfast, missed a meal there. So he went from having, say, 900 calories, just roughly, 300 calories, 3 meals, 900, 600, and now he's playing golf. He missed the morning, and he's only going on 300 calories, roughly. You can start seeing he's not at 900. So he went from here, dipped, tried to play golf, dipped. He's not doing this, which is what we want to do. So make sure he's fed before the round of golf, before the activity, before the test, before the whatever he's participating in, the music concert, whatever the thing he's doing. Make sure he's overloaded the night before with more food than less food.